section 7.3, this is areas of triangles. You know the area of a triangle, if you have a right triangle, or any triangle, is 1/2 base times height. But what if you don't know the height? And it's not a right triangle, so if it's not a right triangle, you definitely don't know the height. So how can we find the area? Okay. Well, there's a formula we can use. That is 1/2 a side times the sine of my included angle. Included meaning in between the two sides. And we can derive that by using a little right triangle trig. If I drop a height down there, I don't know how tall it is at h, but if I drop a height down there, I know that the sine of b is h over c. So I know that height is c sine of b. So area is 1/2 base times height. 1/2, my base, which is a, and my height, we said, is c sine of b. So there's how you get the formula. So if we know two sides and an included angle, we can use the formula. 1/2 a side times the sine of the included angle. I have a sample problem. Two sides of a triangle have length 8 and 5 meters. Included angle measures 53. Find the area. So 1/2 times the side times the side times the sine of my included angle. And we'll pull up my calculator in a minute. This is what we'll put in the calculator. And 1/2, I can just write it as 0.5. 0.5 times 8 times 5 times sine of my included angle. And there I have it. 15.9727. If I round it to the nearest tenth, it would be 16.0. Okay? And there you are. You're done. Next one. A farmer has a triangular field. Sides are given as 170, 120, and 220. Find the area of the field in square yards. Then find the number of acres if 1 acre is 4,840 square yards. So we need to find any angle. The best angle to find would be angle C. Okay? Find the largest. It'll make your life easier when you use log cosines. Okay? So I'm going to find that largest angle first. So you know that c squared, the side squared, is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine of c. So that's what I have written here. There's my c squared. So 220 squared is equal to 120 squared plus 170 squared minus 2 times 170 times 170 cosine of c. Okay? I multiplied stuff out on my notes, but you don't really have to do that. Let me show you what you could do. 220 squared, move the 120 over, so minus 120 squared. Move the 170 over, minus 170 squared. So then that would be equal to this right here. Solve for cosine of c, so then I'm going to divide by the -2 times 20 times 170. This is equal to cosine of c. So if I want c, I would take the inverse cosine of that right there. Okay? You don't have to, I wrote it all out on the notes. You don't have to do that. Let me show you. So let me get my calculator again. And this time I'm going to move my calculator, or I'll leave my calculator there. Inverse cosine. So I would like a inverse cosine, which is right here. And I want a fraction, because I had a fraction there, because I did division. So alpha, y, there's my fraction. And so I had 220 squared minus 120 squared minus 170 squared. In the denominator, I had -2 times 120 times 170. So I have the c squared minus a squared minus b squared divided by 2ab, and then I take the inverse cosine of that. And there you get 97.1. That is C. So I'm going to store it in C for now. Store in C. And that's what it's here. Okay? So 97.18, 97.2. Okay? So you just put it all in your calculator. You don't need to do this math that I did each step. Okay? So now that I have an angle, I have this angle here, I can take 1/2 a side times the sine of that included angle. My sides are 120 and 170. So I can just put that right in my calculator. So let me pull my calculator up again. And in my calculator, I can do 1/2 times 120 times 170 times the sine, and you have to remember where you kept it, but I put it in C because that was angle C. Whoops, what did I do over there? I did something wrong. Let me try it again. Okay, 2 times, that's why. So I had 0.5 times 120 times 170 times sine of C. So now if I didn't have those fat fingers to do it, I have 10,119.99876, which is 10,120 square yards. Okay, that's in square yards. Since 1 acre is equal to 4,840 square yards, to convert, I multiply 1 acre divided by 4,840 square yards times my answer, and I will get it in acres. So divide by 4,840. And there I have about 2.1 acres. Okay? Another way to do this same problem. If you're given the sides, you could use something called Heron's formula. And Heron's formula states that K, which is the area, is equal to S times S minus A times S minus B times S minus C, where S is equal to 1/2 A plus B plus C. And A plus B plus C divided by 2, or times 1/2, is called the semi-perimeter. Okay? So you could do that also, and if you'd like, we could do that, and we'll get the exact same answer. So let's do that. Remember my sides, I'm going to write them down over here. A is equal to 120, B is equal to 170, C is equal to 220. So I'm going to pull my calculator up over on the other side. Clear some stuff. I'm going to find this S first. So if I take 120 plus 170 plus 220, and I divide that by 2, that gives me 255 is my S. Okay, and if I want, I could put it in S. I could store it in S. There, it's an S now. So K is equal to square root of S times S minus A, S minus B, S minus C. Got the same exact area. Okay? Divide by 4,840 like we did before, you get the same answer. Okay? I wrote everything out here, but you don't need to put the 255. I could just do it in S. And we convert it to acres. Whoops, acres. Just like we did before. And you're done. Okay, so this is two different ways to do the same problem. Find the area of the following quadrilateral. Well, we've been talking about triangles, not quadrilaterals. So what you could do is divide that into two triangles. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, I could divide it like this, or I could divide it like this, right? You could divide it somehow. And it really doesn't matter which way you divide it because you're given two sides and an included angle in whichever way you divide it. Okay? So I divided it, and this is how I divided it. But it's not the only way. You could have done it the other way. Okay? And remember, I want the area of that. So I want the area of each triangle, and then I'm going to add them together. The one triangle is really easy. A half, a side times the sine of my included angle. So half times 12 times 14 times the sine of 110. Okay? That's like really easy to do. Okay? I pull it up in my calculator and put it in my calculator. Just so you can see. So if I was putting that in my calculator, I would have a half times a side times the side times the sine of my included angle. And there it is right there. Okay? That's one area. Okay? I'm going to store it in K. How's that? Store in K. Okay, so I stored it in K. There, I have it for later on. So this right here, I stored that in K. Now, the next thing I want to do is find the area of the other triangle. Okay? But it's not as easy because I don't have two sides and an included angle. So what can we do? Well, the bottom triangle, you could find an angle. So if I found this angle right there, then maybe I know then I could find this angle here because if the whole thing's 130, 130 minus y would give me that z. Okay? So then I'd have an angle there. I could also find that side opposite the dotted line, which I labeled x. So then I'd have a side x, an angle that I'm calling z, and that side 8. And then I could use the same formula. So let's do that. So let's find a side. Okay? So I said, find the side. We need the side. And we need that angle z. To find the angle z, I need to find the angle y first. Okay? So I'm going to find side x first. So remember, law of cosines. That side squared, which is x squared, is equal to 14 squared plus 12 squared minus 2 times 14 times 12 cosine of 110. Okay? So let me pull up my calculator again and put it in my calculator. So in my calculator, I'm going to take the square root of the whole thing. So let me see what I'm doing at my calculator. So I would do, oh no, I don't need a square root, sorry. X squared is equal to, oh no, I put everything in my calculator. Okay, so I would have 14 squared plus, oh, and I have to do square root after. I'll do it after, I forgot to do it. 12 squared minus, and you don't really need parentheses here, but I'm going to put them in. 2 times 14 times 12 times cosine 110. Take the square root of that. So square root's right here, so I can do square root. And you can either pull up answer, which is blue there. I think it's easier though using the arrow key. Grab it, square root of that. 21.3. I'm going to store that because I'm going to need it for later. And I'll store it, since I called it X, I'll store it in X. So store in X. Okay? So there's that one. Okay? So I have a side there, X. I have an angle opposite, 110. I need to find the angle Y, so I can use law of sines. The sine of Y over 14 is equal to the sine of 110 over my side X. And that's what I have right here. Okay? So when you're doing it, the sine of the sine of Y over 14 is equal to the sine of 110 over, remember this was my X. That's where that's stored. Okay? And then do the math. Like I said, remember that's my X. Okay? So pick up my calculator again. And let me move it over a little bit. Inverse sine, so second inverse, there's inverse sine. I like my fraction key, so there's my fraction key. I have 14 sine of 110. And on the bottom, remember I stored it in X, so I'm just going to call up X. 38.08. I'm going to store that in Y. So that's in Y. Okay? Okay, to find Z, I would do 130 minus that Y. So let me do that. 130 minus, and I don't have to do Y, I can just go like that and grab it. And that's Z. So let me store that. Don't I need it like, but there it is right there. Okay? So now I have Z. Let me go back to my picture. If I have 1/2 the side X times the side 8 times the sine of Z, I will get the answer. Okay? For that one triangle. So let me pull up my calculator again. And remember in the calculator it was 0.5 times, one of my sides is X, so times X times, the other side was 8, times the sine, and remember I called it Z, so it was in Z. And actually it's not 0.2, it's 0.3. I must not have stored my numbers here. So it's really 0.3 square yards. It's really 0.3. Okay. Now, I add that, because that's one triangle, add it to the other. Remember I stored it in K, so plus K. 164.2. And if I store stuff properly, see I didn't store stuff properly, it's really 0.2. There it is. Because this was 3. So that's a 2. Okay? So there is my area of the whole thing. And we're done.